we were all on SVN. Subversion. Can you remember Tortoise SVN? I was within that group of people, that era, where we were making the move to Git. The whole dynamic of how code is stored and even how code is written completely changed because of that transference from SVN to Git. Because with SVN, of course, there was the need to create certain backups of things. There was the need to create comments of code if things didn't work, because it wasn't as distributed as Git. There wasn't really what we would see today as a merge request or a pull request, right? A lot of the things that I'm teaching, they've come in as I've been a developer, and I've seen and I know the reason why they're here, because I was working with the code when they weren't enforced. And so I know what the pain is like, the challenge it was from going from SVN to Git. And before SVN, I was working on FTP, right? And with FTP, you've got a whole world of other problems, because you could be working on the same file as someone else. It's all done in time, right? So you've got to make sure that when you FTP a file up, someone else isn't FTPing the same file up with a different change. And that's where a lot of the backup files came in, because what you wanted to do was you wanted to FTP a file, you wanted to make a change to the file, but you also wanted to keep the original file, because there was certainly no source control then, back in those days. That was your source control, your FTP, your file system was your very loosely termed source control. With FTP, you often saw all of these _BKP files. And then with SVN, I would see a lot of these comments of code, right? So we've done this piece of work, but we're commenting out the previous piece of work. You had all sorts of other things with, different branching strategies. You had trunk, which was just mad. And then, of course, back in those days, you had a whole different way of deploying sites. Right, you had a whole different way. It was mostly waterfall, big bang releases. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't the concept of a pull request. So I want to just change this one little line of code here, and I just want to deploy that one file, which you can do these days. Even if we go even further than that, where you've got, say, composer packages, I want to actually isolate this feature and make it a composer package, and so I want to make a change to that. Back in the day, we didn't really have Semver. We didn't have Composer at all. All of these, and the thing is, a lot of developers now will look at all of the toys that we've got, and they'll go, "Oh my God, this is so complicated. This is such a mess. Why is it so complicated?" But it's complicated because of all the reasons that I've just discussed. It was a bit of a Wild West back then. Now we have a lot more standards, and we're able to conform to various things. It makes a lot more sense. To me at least. But I'm more than happy to hold the junior developer's hand and walk through this process, and at least I have stories to tell about why these things are in place, because back then it was the Wild West.